Now that Fusion's integrated into Davinci Resolve, we can now make motion graphics. So let's do that. Alright, so now that we're in Fusion, first thing that we're going to want to do is add in a tool. What you'll notice is that the add tool symbol is grayed out, as well as pulling any of these tools down, they don't do anything. Because we're going to have to add in some type of footage. But if you're working with motion graphics, you're not going to be using footage. You can, make a whole video without using any actual like camera footage. So the workaround for that, I don't have any footage in here, is to come up to the effects library and then come over to generator and then bring in a solid color, which is just a solid black. And then we will want to add this into a new compound clip. And now that we have that clip in here, if we come over to the Fusion tab, we can now add, because these two little guys are here, we can now add tools into here and we can start working on our motion graphics. So how this works is it's just all node based and our background is just a solid black background. We can change the color of it. So let's do that. Let's do something like that, like a blue. And now that we have our background in here, we can start to add elements. And you create elements all different ways, but how we're going to be creating elements today is we are just going to use a background. And what I'm doing here is I'm just taking whatever my node is and I'm dragging it up to the viewer, and then I can see whatever that node is. Also, you can click on one and then it'll just show it. I think by default you see two viewers, so it'll be the left one's one and then the right one's two on your keyboard. So we're working with this background 2, and it's showing that it's being displayed on the left monitor, but I'm in one view, so I'm only seeing one here. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm just going to make it white, and we want to make a shape out of this. So down here we have all of our different masks that we can use. I'm just going to grab a rectangle shape. And if you are highlighted on one of the nodes and then you click the rectangle, it'll automatically connect it. So let's come over to our width and change that, and then our height. And if you find it difficult to get the accurate amount, what you can do is you can hold Control and it'll allow you to fine tune. It'll take a lot more input from your hand to fine tune it. And if you hold Control and mouse wheel in, you can zoom in. And then you control mouse wheel out and it'll zoom out. So now I have a little element here and it's on a transparent background. I'm actually going to switch over to my mouse to make this easier for me. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to move this to the left a bit. So right now, if you look at this, it's centered. I'm just going to move it out a little bit. So I'm going to click on my rectangle and then just move it out a little bit. So like that. So now I have a rectangle that is masking this white, which then gives me this element. And then here I have the blue background. If I take the output of this node and connect it to this output, it'll then create a merge. If I take the merge and view that merge, I will see the blue background with the white stroke. So now let's animate that stroke. If I click on this rectangle, copy it, and then paste it, it'll add it below and make all of my connections for me automatically. One of the other things I'm gonna do is I'm going to right click, and I'm gonna change this to grid, because then these will snap and make it a little easier to keep this clean. Now this second rectangle here, if I move it, you'll see that right now it's just adding to it. You can change this to several different things. If you go to subtract and you look at this, it's subtracting that rectangle. What we're going to be using today is multiply. What that means is the masks have to be laying on top of each other to be able to visibly see what they're representing. So what that enables you to do is it enables you to make like a loading bar sort of effect, like that. So that's what we're going to be doing with that is, so let me go back to that, multiply. And this first node here, we have the size that or the location that we want. So I just want to add that over here. So now it's centered, and I'm gonna go back to fit. Now this one little piece, I have the ability to manipulate its shape. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this lower node and I'm gonna come to frame, let's say 20, or let's go to frame 15. So right down here, it says what frame it is. And we're going to click on the center keyframe holder. We're gonna click on the keyframe to start recording keyframes. Then I'm gonna come over to frame 0, and I'm going to come into the circle. So now it's not visible. And I'm going to, and it made a keyframe and record the keyframe. And then I'm gonna go out to 30. I'm gonna click on that node again so I have the little bars to change the size of it. And then now if I play this through, it's almost like a linear move. So you could say, well, why did you make 3 points and you could have made one inside this circle, and then one all the way on the outside, and it would do the same thing. You're correct. But what I can do now is I can come into the spline editor. If I click on the one I want to manipulate, which is the rectangle, it's the only thing that has keyframes in my project right now, and then click this little button to see all keyframes. Now I can take these keyframes and highlight them and hit F, and it'll ease in and ease out of each keyframe. So if I play this back now, what happened there is it went in and then it paused because there was a little bit of a slowing here, and I can show you that a little bit better. If I hit T, I can change the ease in and ease out. So if I change this to, like, let's say 50 and the out to 50, now if I play this, it'll kind of like pause in the middle there. It'll stay a little longer. So now that we have that, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to add a little element on the outside of here just to spice up the tip just a little bit. That sounded very weird, but okay, so I'm just adding another background. I'll zoom in a little bit here. I hate that we have so little space, but whatever. For this one, I'm going to, let's make it like a lime. I think that's lime. We'll click on it and add actually we won't do that. What we'll do is we'll click on this top rectangle, and because it doesn't have any keyframes, it won't copy those keyframes over, and we can paste it and then connect it to this guy. And all I'm going to do is change the size of it. And now I can't see where the other ones are, so I'm just going to move them up a little bit, but I'm going to take the output of this one and connect it to the merge, which will then make this merge the background and the green is the foreground. So it'll put this on the foreground. And if we play this node, we can see the little piece there. So what we'll do is we'll just move it out. I'm going to zoom in so we can see outside there. Okay, so now that we have it in its position, copy, paste, and for this one, I'm just going to do the first frame and the last frame and just let it go without having that like pause in the middle. So I'll click here, click on this side. Obviously now there's two of them. I didn't change the mode that they interact. And then we'll come to frame 30. Then we'll go to the other side here. And now if we play this, I see a little bit of a white speck in there, so that's just saying that this keyframe didn't go far enough. So we can fix that quick. Okay, so now play this, go full screen. Let's go to the beginning. So there we go. Now we have two little pieces. All right, so now we have our little graphic. Now let's say we wanted to add more of these. We could do that, but how we have this currently set up is our background comes in as the background node, then the white bar gets then added, and then the background, which is the blue, and that white bar come out of there, and it goes into this next one where the green then gets added. So the problem here is if I was to do something outside of here, we have the background and these bars. There's no transparency, so I can't take those bars and do anything with them because they have the background, the blue, already added to it. So we need to get the blue out and just have the little elements, my bars, on a transparent background. So to do that, this merge here, we would need to get rid of. So if we just delete this merge and take this background and add it to this merge, now playing this node here, we have both of those elements on a transparent background. So now what we can do is we can, if we wanted to, we could just bring this down here, add this node to this node, and then we're back to where we were before. So on this node here, we have our elements already. So if we wanted to add more of these, we could recreate these nodes, but we already have a full element here. What the best option would be is to make a transform. And if we bring our transform out, on this transform node, we could take and go 180. Now we have that same piece over here. If we take this little merge and we get rid of the background, and we can come out of merge 2 and connect that here, and then our transform into our foreground. Now if we play this node, now we have 2. So we could continue to keep creating this. So if we take these two here, we come out of the merge down here, we go into the transform, and now for this transform, we could change this to 90 degrees. And let's play this one. Now we have those. And remember, all we did is make this element one time and then manipulated it. So what we're going to do next is copy this, paste this, and coming out of here, because this node already has 4, coming out of here into this node, we can change this to 45. If we play that, it's moving 4 there. Bring this down here. Now we have a full star. And we can play this star, and now we have a piece of a motion graphic. So we can take this background node that we've been dragging around and come out of our element that we've made and add our background to it. If we play this, now we have that. And we created all of this from just these 2 little pieces. So at any point in time, we could come into, let's say, this little element that we have here, we could change the color of it. If we come down, now that's reflected here with everything. Okay, so we could continuously keep adding things to this. So let's add a piece of text, and let's just add, and we can change the color of this. Maybe we'll make this one the one that was the lime. Play this node so we can actually see it. And we will increase the size of it. We can rotate it. So let's say rotate it like that. And we can add a little bit of motion into here too. Where are we at? So now it goes through, but maybe we want it to hang out a little bit. For this is just text 1. So we'll close this, we'll open up our spline. We can turn off all of these, and our text 1, show all keyframes, hit F, highlight just this one, maybe something, let's see how that looks. Okay, it slows down just a little too much for my liking at least. Okay, I think that looks a lot better. The other thing that we can do to make this look a little better is our text 1. We can turn on motion blur. The higher this quality is, the better it looks, obviously, but the longer it takes to render. So we'll just turn it all the way up, and I'm going to add one more thing into this mix, and that is for the center to disappear. So kind of like, you know how the cartoons like would go in like doo 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 doo. I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna do that, but have it like open up. So this is all going to happen, right? This is all gonna happen, but then it's gonna go and it's gonna reveal on the inside. Because all of these are going out like that, I just feel like maybe it should then, you know, open up and reveal what's behind it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to bring in a background node. We'll play that quick, and I'm gonna make this completely transparent. We're gonna come out of this, we're gonna take everything that we currently have made, and we're gonna make that the overlay for this node. And then we're going to add in a eclipse node. And the eclipse node, we're just going to invert it. And we're going to add motion blur to this. And we're going to pick the frame when we see the text start to disappear. So I would say like right in there. We're gonna actually come in and we're going to make this completely small, keyframe it here, and then by the time it gets here, by the time it gets to about here, I would say we're gonna have this get completely full. So let's play this. All right, that's a little quick. Okay, so we're actually just going to change these two top keyframes. Maybe bring them out just a little bit, out to here. Now let's play this. All right, so now that we have our effect created, well, in this case, almost like a transition, I'm gonna come back to our editor. I'm gonna bring in a piece of footage to put underneath of it, because currently this has a transparent effect to it, and that would interact as if it was a transition. So I'm going to add something real quick. Okay, there we go. And then in this video, I'm just going to say, okay, here and here, looks great. We'll just make it as long as this. Oh, I forgot to, don't forget to take your in and outs and make sure you add your out, or else you won't have a working effect. So here's my out. So out of my last node that looks good, I'm going to take out of here and then into the background, which is the out for the media out. So then it gets spit back onto our timeline and then it'll be everywhere. So if we play this, it kind of looks really cool. So let's full screen this. And there you go. A very simple, very basic, but very simple motion graphics that you can use for your project. In the coming weeks, I am definitely going to have a lot more on motion graphics because it's something that I actually really like doing. Even though Fusion can do a lot more in 3D and a lot of other things, but motion graphics is something that I'm going to make a little series about. But yeah, with that said, let me know down in the comments what you think about this one. If you have any suggestions on something I should do in the future, let me know down there as well. Again, my name's JR and thanks for watching.